right, it's the Wrestling Caucus. I'm Peter A.
I'm Smelly Ariaga.
And today we're going to talk about AEW Revolution. Smiley, give me your general thoughts on this show.
I'm really happy that it was tribute to Sting, but as a pay-per-view, it was kind of worse than the last one they had. What was the last one they had? What was the last pay-per-view
It
they
was
had?
World's End.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, this was as a wrestling show, this was worse than that one. Like I know I'm not allowed to say that I didn't like the main event, but I didn't like the main event at all. Like I love Sting so much. I would have rather if this was just like it. I think we kind of talked about this last show. If this was just Sting versus Christian, I think this would have been 10 times better than what we got. It was Sting lying outside for most of the time and Darby trying to kill himself. That like Sting never tried to kill himself in any of his matches. He was just a really good worker. Like he never did anything stupid. I feel like everything they were doing in that match is not shit that Sting would do. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't as a whole. Yeah, without rambling too much, but as a whole show, I was not feeling this.
I actually thought this show as a whole was pretty good. I thought it was better than World's End. My only problem with the show is AEW's usual problem is a pay-per-view. It's too long. Too goddamn long. This show did not need to go to midnight, especially towards when it's centered around Sting and he gets cut off mid phrase. And it's like someone like him, if the show is revolved around him, he needs as much time as possible. So, but overall, I really enjoyed the show. Um,
The
there are some
match had
things
a
I didn't.
60-minute time limit. It technically had a 60-minute time limit, but it started in like the last half hour of the show, did it not?
Shit started like at 11:30.
That did it. So think about that. A match that starts at in the last half hour of the show had a 60-minute time limit. That doesn't make any sense. That that it I don't know. I don't know anything about timing a show, and clearly they don't either.
Yeah, right.
So
Okay. So instead of just going match by match, you don't need to do that in this case because it was a long ass show. There's a few things I just want to discuss. So we'll start with the TNT title. So you missed this match. You came over, I think, the beginning or in the middle of Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong. So the show opened with Christian and Daniel Garcia, TNT title. And in our preview show, I wasn't really looking forward to this match at all. I really just wanted to see Christian and Adam Copeland, but they didn't do that here. But I will say, this is a pretty good match. Christian, you said this in the last show. He's like one of the best workers in the company. He has the brains. He's a psychological genius in AEW. He's fantastic. He's one of the best heels in that promotion right now, and he was working like a heel. He was on fire. And Daniel Garcia, he was really good. He was a little flashy, and even Christian, he did a crazy dive from the top to the outside. It looked good. I thought it looked great. But again, Christian beating Daniel Garcia, there was some help with the patriarchy and all that stuff. Where do you want to see Christian go next? Who do you want to see him face next? Because there's a pay-per-view in between Double or Nothing, and right now Dynasty in April. So I don't know. What do you think of all this?
if Christian didn't have that belt, I'd say he should easily be the world champion. Because other than MJF, the two people that are worthy of being world champion are either him or Samoa Joe. And what they're doing with Samoa Joe, I don't care for his little feud with because Samoa Joe's title defense is centered around Swerve and Hangman's feud that won't end. So I guess, yeah, long story short, I would like to see Christian and Samoa Joe, something like that. Like those two, like you have to work hard to make that bad. Like you have to like super overbook to make that bad. But then again,
So you want to see a title versus title match? You want to see Christian as TNT champion versus Samoa Joe as the world champion?
I don't know, honestly. I don't know who I want to see Christian. I guess because like I
They
don't
should
know.
just do Edge, Adam Copeland. Like they should just do that, get rid of that, and then um either Adam wins and I don't know. I mean, maybe you keep Christian champion for a while, then Will Ospreays is here. You can do that. But I really just want to see Christian and Edge first. They can do what they're gonna do. I don't see why we have to wait so long to see that again.
Because they ruined it at World's End. They could have just let Edge win the title and have Edge have a run. Instead, they overbooked the shit. This is the problem with overbooking. They did months worth of booking. I'm going to say this again. They did months worth of booking in one night. So now there's what the hell else is there for Christian to do? A feud that they could have stretched out for months. They overbooked in one night. So now there's nothing else left to do. You already had Edge win and get screwed over in the same night. So what the hell?
So it's either you beat Edge again and then Edge turns heel and joins Christian, or Adam Copeland beats Christian. That's all you can do at this point. But all right. Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to talk about because they have so many damn belts.
Yeah, that's also true. That's also true.
So why not? So honestly, why not have like the TNT champion go against the world champion? They have too many damn belts anyway.
Right. Speaking of too many belts, right? Bryan Danielson, Eddie Kingston, the Triple Crown Continental title, which is kind of exhausting to say and even think about. But you got to see this match. I think this was the best match on the show. And
yeah, nothing else touched this.
No, right. I love the heart. Like, it was very All Japan, New Japan, and with some old school Ring of Honor. It was kind of, they had the Code of Honor thing. Like, if I win, you shake my hand, and that's what he did. That's what Bryan Danielson did. Eddie Kingston beat him fair and square.
Like a wrestling match.
Yeah, it was
like
it was a wrestling match.
I honestly, man, every show we do, I complain about overselling so much to the point where I feel like I sound ridiculous. Because like what I notice is that people really just don't have a problem with people no selling anything.
Sometimes no selling's okay.
But the problem is it's done all the time now.
Right. So when we'll talk about Will Ospreay and Takeshita, there were some segments that they did that sometimes, okay, that's fine. They didn't sell that, but they sold later. It's fine. But with this match in particular, I didn't feel like, I feel like some of the matches on this card were just sequence, and the wrestlers are getting ready for another sequence. There were some parts in some of the matches on this card that just felt like you were just not going through the motions, but you were just worrying about what's next instead of just it didn't. Bryan Danielson and Eddie Kingston just felt like it was just organic, and it just didn't feel so choreographed.
Like a wrestling match.
Yeah. I think that was the issue with some of the matches on the show. But I think with Bryan Danielson and Eddie Kingston, so Bryan Danielson, he said 2024 is his last year as a full-time wrestler, right? And Eddie Kingston, they're not exactly carving out a plan. It just seems like he's, I don't know. We'll find, maybe Dynamite and Collision or whatever. We'll see what else is next for him. But as of right now, don't see a clear path for him. But honestly, like you said, again, this company has too many titles, and it's just, there's nothing really to really get behind. Outside the fact that these two wrestlers are some of the best in wrestling right now, at least for me, I don't really see what's next. You know what I mean? Again, you got Will Ospreay. Kyle O'Reilly's back. I guess those are possible opponents for Eddie Kingston, but right now I don't really.
Oh, and Kyle O'Reilly came back in the dumbest way. You see,
okay.
Honestly, I drew a blank when you were asking me what Christian should do next because I forgot about the fact that Kyle O'Reilly. I love Kyle O'Reilly. I'm happy he's healthy. I'm happy he's healthy again. I was so worried that I was never going to see him wrestle again, and they brought him back in the dumbest way possible. He came back and did nothing. He came back. They handed him. This is the part where I walked in on. I was coming from Long Island to the city. Like Kyle O'Reilly came back. They didn't even say, "Oh my God, it's Kyle O'Reilly." After they didn't even explain why he was gone. They didn't even explain that he had a bad health issues. They explained nothing. they brought him out, barely told you who he was. They handed him a shirt, and he's like, I don't want the shirt, and walked out. Like he looked like someone took his lunch money.
Yeah, he looked like he was crying.
This
I'm
guy
like,
can kick. This guy can and should have kicked everyone's ass in the ring, and everyone would be like, "Oh, this is who the fuck this guy is."
he
Holy
hasn't
shit,
been
we
on
got a
screen.
competitor.
We haven't seen this guy in almost 2 years. He had an injury. I think he messed up his neck or something, and he has type 1 diabetes. So, his recovery process was very challenging. And they just kind of just
They
like
said
nothing.
nothing about that.
Nothing. They said the announcer said nothing, and Kyle O'Reilly should have came in guns blazing. They had to remind the audience who Kyle O'Reilly is. Do you remember when he was about to wrestle Katsuyori Shibata in New Japan, and he went up to him? He was speaking something in Japanese. He slapped him across the face.
Yeah.
They should have done the same shit here to remind people that Kyle O'Reilly is a lethal weapon. He is trained in MMA. He could fuck you up. That's what they should have done here. But he came in, he gave Roderick Strong a big hug, gave him back the t-shirt, walked away crying. What?
See, here's the
What?
thing. The apathy when it comes to the psychology of this company, it's not just in the matches anymore. It's in the storylines, it's in everything else. It's just there's such a thick layer of like nothing matters. Like matches, people like moves don't matter. Like selling moves doesn't matter, and storylines don't matter. Like if things just happen, and we're supposed to just be like, well, this is great. Like
So do you think that Kyle O'Reilly's going to join with the Undisputed Kingdom, or he's just going to go off on his own?
he should go off on his own. I don't know why. Like, why would you want to be in a stable that people don't even care about it in the first place? I mean, yeah, his buddies are there, sure, but like, Jesus Christ, like I, for, I forgot that Adam Cole wasn't even there. That's how much I don't care about this Undisputed Kingdom. Are they still even called that? The Undisputed Kingdom, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. But I don't
I want
know.
to see Kyle O'Reilly be a good singles competitor. I want to see like all these idiots that are buried in like these pointless stables. I want to see them be. I want to see them be singles competitors. That goes for Kyle O'Reilly. That goes for Roderick Strong. That goes for Claudio in the Blackpool in the Black Combat Club.
All I know is that on Dynamite and or Collision, they got to make damn sure that I give a shit about Kyle O'Reilly coming back. They got to do something because they can't just make this guy cry. Because I like to believe maybe, I don't know for sure, but there's some people watching Revolution that are either watching AEW for the first time, or they're watching AEW for the first time in a long time, and they're seeing Kyle O'Reilly for the first time, and they're seeing Kyle O'Reilly for the first time in a long time, and they did nothing to reintroduce this man to us. Now there's some people who probably never seen him before, just think he's just some crybaby. So I don't know. They got to do damage control on that.
I
So
didn't even know if he cried or not. I just saw he like they just had him go out there and do nothing.
yeah, when he walked up the ramp, he had he was visibly upset about something, but he didn't seem like an ass kicker to me. Okay, moving on. So, we were talking about the world title a little bit earlier. So Samoa Joe, he retained the title, and just that match. It was just a match. It was yeah, but Wardlow won the scramble, which was another pointless match they could have left off the card. That match was just annoying. It's just you and Richie walked in like towards the end of the match. It was exactly what I was saying earlier today. It was just people waiting to do their spot. That's what it was. That's exactly what this match was. And
But
they didn't explain they gave it a video package for this, which wasn't needed. In the video package, they didn't explain the rules. They didn't say, is it elimination? Is it during the match? I'm giving the credit to every man for himself, but is it a one fall to a finish? Is it elimination, or I was totally confused. But anyway, Wardlow is gonna face Samoa Joe. Don't know when, don't know where. Honestly, I don't. Do you care about that?
Oh, you know something? When you texted me Wardlow being Joe's next opponent, I thought that was a typo. I didn't think that like they were actually gonna like real. You see, here's the problem with all these damn titles. If Eddie didn't have 3 titles, he'd be in the running for the world title. If Christian didn't have that pointless title, he'd be in the running for the world title. You would have you have such a strong potential heavyweight division that like, well, Eddie has 3 belts, Christian has a belt, all the charismatic people have pointless titles already. Let's Wardlow. Like I don't know. Like I'm not I was excited like yeah, like I'm not really excited to see Wardlow and Joe, honestly. I'm just not.
Yeah, maybe like 6 months ago I would have been, but the world title's cold. Wardlow's cold. I don't know. And everyone's character is that they hate AEW. So it's I don't have
Huh,
a whole lot
must
of
it
anticipation for
must tell
this.
you something. Everyone's characters that they hate where they work, except the money they get. But
That's yeah, it's kind of true. It's really
no,
backwards.
no, 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 no. Listen, look. If you're getting a good paycheck at the end of the day, that's great. But if you're
Yeah.
frustrated with like, oh my god, this creative makes no damn sense, I won't. I don't blame you.
Wardlow's literal purpose, and he's in the heel faction. He's in the kingdom, undisputed kingdom, or whatever it is. He's upset that they essentially put they put the rocket to him, then they cooled him off. That's his character. That's his story. I'm like, is this guy? He's in the top heel group of the promotion. Listen, I don't know. I can't say I care about this.
Wow.
All right, let's move on to the women's division. Listen, I like this show too. I like this show. I'm just saying the future direction is kind of like it's kind of muddy. But anyway, Toni Storm, Deonna Purazzo. So there's a lot, kind of in the works for the women's division in AEW because they have the big business show in a couple of weeks in Boston. The idea is that maybe Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné may show up. So now that and I will say this one thing about Deonna and Toni, the match had a pretty good build up, but it was just kind of there. Maybe they lost some time because of that stupid fucking 6-man or tag team match.
And like the FTR match with Claudio and John Moxley, where FTR sold their asses off to make John Moxley look like the badass that everyone. It's so stupid. This was like honestly like because like Deonna Purazzo and yeah, you're right. Toni Storm and Deonna had great build up despite the goofy camera work they do for Toni. Like it had good build up. Like Deonna cut a pretty convincing promo, and so did Toni when she actually locked in. But and Deonna was doing some good stuff in this match. She was actually wrestling Toni. She
The
was
match
actually
was fine. It's just like there was
yeah, it's just
nothing.
like there was no steam because like
Exactly.
maybe the crowd was tired after that bullshit. Uh, and I hate saying that match, the FTR match was bullshit because FTR is amazing. The
It
one thing,
wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It's just like
no, yeah,
why?
they were selling their asses off, but it didn't matter.
It wasn't even bad. It wasn't a bad match in a vacuum. It just didn't need to be on this show. It was 20 minutes on this show that could have been allotted to the women's match
The
or to
women's
Sting in
title
the main
match.
event. Yeah, it just felt like a complete afterthought.
My
Then
God.
also, okay, so the women's title that Toni Storm has, the next path for wait for her is probably Mercedes or Britt Baker or whatever. I would say Mercedes. That's a match people probably want to see. But then when we were watching the show, I'm like, who is the TBS champion? And I remembered, I looked it up. Like, wait a minute, Julia Hart's the champion. She was on the buy-in in a nothing tag match. And she was on the buy-in
And
on
she
the
didn't
tag.
even bring her belt, you told me.
So you mean to tell me you're basically telling me that belt don't mean shit? Because you had a tag team match. Okay, you had a tag team title match. Then you had another men's tag match that meant nothing. That was good, but it meant nothing. And now it's like, what does Deonna do next? Right? I would say, honestly, put the TBS title on her for like a year or 6 months or something. And put some steam behind her because you can't put all your eggs in one basket. Get some of these
It
other
seems
women
like
over,
all
you
the
know?
eggs like have been spilt on the floor and no one's fucking cleaning up the floor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Jesus, have you ever like I've worked in a kitchen. You ever had to clean yolk off the floor?
I don't want to know what that's like.
Look, I don't know,
Much
man.
respect to service
Someone
workers.
needs to do some fucking cleaning. That's all I'm saying, man. It's a mess.
Yeah, I don't want to take anything away from work they did. It wasn't bad. It just
No, but
wasn't
honestly,
memorable, you know?
like they were actually trying to wrestle because like Tony Storm is amazing and Deonna is really good too. It's just like, all that 20 maybe the long maybe all those minutes that happened in the previous match should have gone to them. The match that you built.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, God, it's ridiculous.
All right. So Will Ospreay and Takeshita. When we were watching this live, I fell asleep. Why? Because it was like we were like what 2 hours in. I was exhausted because I think FTR and Blackpool Combat Club was before this, if I'm not mistaken. And they just went like too long. Way too long. And honestly, the TNT title match, if you took like 5 minutes from that, it would have been a lot better. But this match, I watched it again today, just so I have a fair opinion of it. It was really good. I thought it was really good. My issue with it was that again, it felt like there were some points in the match they were just getting ready for the next sequence and not like letting things breathe for a little bit because they were doing some really cool stuff, some clever counters, and one of my favorite spots in the whole match when they were exchanging forearms. And I thought Will and Takeshita were doing a great job of selling those strikes. I thought it was great. It was really good.
Here's the
And
thing.
they got the crowd. The crowd was really behind this whole thing. But there was some points in the match I felt like you're just waiting to do your shit, you know?
And the thing is, I'm not even gonna bring up the crowd. You want to know why? Because the crowd was they were the worst parts of this match. The crowd was cheering. They don't look. The people in that crowd were the only people in the world that they were appealing to with this match. Like Takeshita is amazing. I say that all the time. He was doing some great stuff in this match. The problem is they didn't fucking sell any of it. Like Takeshita, he actually sells his dives. Takeshita sells every little thing. He actually, when he hit Will Ospreay, I usually hate the back and forth forearm spots because they just look like they look fake as hell a lot of the time. Let's be honest. But here, Takeshita actually looked like he was hitting Will Ospreay, and like there were so many parts where like they could have like went for pinfalls and they didn't just because we had to set up the next move. Like there was one spot Takeshita hit Will Ospreay with a forearm, looked like he knocked him out. He could have went for a 2 count there, but no, let's set up the next move. There was an amazing spot. Like you see, I'm only talking about spots because what else can you talk about with this match? Like where Will Ospreay did a cutter, he did like a Cody cutter essentially, and Takeshita caught him and reversed it into a blue thunder bomb, a move that not only could have been the finish, it was the last great moment of this match. And it was getting really interesting. Like, oh, Takeshita's trying to damage Will Ospreay's neck, and he even did this amazing. Chad Gable's finish where he does the he rolls back from.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, I know what
and
you're talking
like
about.
he's doing it. He did like an amazing deadlift German, and Will Ospreay got right the fuck back up. Like he didn't just take a top rope brainbuster before. He hit Takeshita with something. I don't remember what it was because I was so mad. And then Takeshita kicked out at 1, and I officially checked out of this match. But here's the thing. I understand I'm in a minority here because the moment I checked out is when all the people in the building were just like, oh, wow, this is awesome. We were getting match of the year text.
Yeah, listen. I thought there were great moments in here. I thought there were good moments, but they were really, selling what they were doing to each other. And I thought I was starting to see the fatigue as the match went on. But at the same time, as the match went on, I'm thinking, why does Will Ospreay have so much energy?
Because
later on in the match, like, what do you do? Like, it's almost as if everything else that happened earlier didn't matter. And okay, like
But
honestly,
that's the Will Ospreay style match. Look, that's what a lot of his fans like. It's like it's a video game match. I just do a bunch of stuff. My neck is made out of titanium. I don't need to act like I'm hurt. I can just get right back up and then do my move, and that's it. And that's what people like. That's what they want to see. When was the last time anyone talked about a Will Ospreay match and said, "Wow, the psychology was through the roof"? Let's be
the
honest.
Wrestle Kingdom match last year, him, Will Ospreay and Kenny from the
And
Tokyo Dome last year.
because Kenny wrestled Okada and Naito and people who are way better than him,
Yeah,
and they're better than Ospreay.
I think this match was had interesting spots, but I think that okay, number one, although this was, I thought it was really good. Um, this match had no point because it was just the Don Callis people, you know, whatever. Don Callis had a good analogy. Oh, this is Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen having a one-on-one exhibition. But the thing is,
Yeah,
um, it didn't really need to be on this show. But I understand why they put it on because Will Ospreay is a new star, right? That they signed. And he got a great reaction. They weren't in England. He had a really good, like, superstar like reaction. AEW on the marquee side is kind of nothing because Sting's gone. So that's kind of the last, like, sort of mainstream star that you had. You know, Punk is not here, Cody's not here. They need new stars. You know, they got Will Ospreay, but man, they got to work so hard to make sure people really give a shit about Will Ospreay. People like Swerve, they really got to work hard. But also, like for me, honestly, I just think that they got to stop doing the most towards the end and really kind of show some fatigue. You know what I mean? Like Will
oh,
Ospreay,
but they're Power Rangers. They don't have to.
yeah,
But
right.
you know what? That's an insult to the Power Rangers. The Power Rangers sold.
Yeah. And it's the same thing with the Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong match, right? So they had a good story going into the match.
I forgot about that match.
Orange Cassidy was like barely cleared, and the trainer was like, if you don't tape up, you are not cleared. So he comes out to the ring taped up, and throughout the match, he's favoring his back. Then he does the Panama Sunrise. Why? Your back's fucked up. Why are you doing that to yourself? It doesn't make any sense, but I don't
Well,
know.
look, like this is the style of match that they like. Here's the thing. That's why I didn't. That's why I find no point in mentioning. Well, the crowd liked it. Look, like of course they do. Like the only people they cater to is their small audience.
Well,
They're
but
not going
this
to
wasn't
cater to.
2000. This wasn't 2,000 people at Hammerstein. This was 16,000 people at the Greensboro Coliseum. So it ain't just a small niche. This probably, I believe this drew a little bit more around this. No, it did actually. This drew more than Grand Slam in New York City, even though this was a pay-per-view, totally different. But New York is a huge market for
No,
them.
but they were there to see Sting.
Right. I'm just saying, like, but the thing is, like, people there to see Sting. Some of them probably don't watch Dynamite regularly. And the crowd was like when you think about all the moments of the show, Will Ospreay and Takeshita, the crowd was like at its one of the hottest outside of the Sting match. So it's not. I can't say this match is just appealing to a small niche group because I don't think it was. But there are certain things they did in the match that's like, okay, this is just something you would do at a PWG show.
But that's what I'm saying. Like a wider audience, like they want like stories. They like the like yeah. Look, like I said, there is an audience that people that just want to see guys like Will Ospreay do a bunch of moves and not sell it, and that's it. I understand that I'm in a minority of people. I hated it. I love Takeshita, but I didn't like Miz and Gunther. Miz and Gunther. Because Gunther's amazing, and Miz is like, Jesus Christ. Miz and Gunther was better than most matches on this pay-per-view.
I
Because
wouldn't say that.
Miz.
I wouldn't say that.
No,
I
I
like
would
Gunther
honestly
and
say, because
Miz.
look, dude,
I wouldn't.
Miz did a better job at selling Gunther's attacks than anyone did here selling tonight.
Well, that's true, but I don't think it was
That's what I'm
like
saying. Like,
Yeah, sure. But the thing is, see, Gunther and Miz, it was good. There was some good moments in it. But if I had to pay $49.99 for that, I'd be mad. Um, I thought the show, just top to bottom, just as a card, was pretty good. But my only issue is like, what do you like? What's next? That's really my big concern. With some psychological issues. But overall, I thought it was really good. It's just it should have cut some things. It shouldn't have been 4 hours. Sting's last match. Him and Darby, tag team champions versus the Young Bucks, right? So when this match started, we said before 11:30. No, hell no, just hell no. They had a nice little video package before Sting showed up. He's in a theater. He's watching some of his old moments throughout his career. Thought it was really cool.
That was cool.
But at 11:30, I'm just like, let's get to the fucking match already. I was exhausted. If they just took off the stupid FTR and Blackpool Combat Club match, took that bullshit off, took that scramble 8-man match off this card, that should have been on the fucking buy-in, or Rampage, or all your other TV shows, fucking Ring of Honor, put it on there. I don't care, but it shouldn't have been on this show. But anyway, what did you think of this last tag team match between the Bucks and Darby and Sting?
I like Sting. I love Sting. I love the video package they had for him. I wish Sting was wrestling anybody else, with anybody else. If it was just Sting and Christian, or just Sting and freaking, oh my God, I'd rather Sting and Adam Copeland, Sting or Jeff Hardy, where, instead this time Jeff Hardy would be coherent enough to actually have a match with him. Like if you had Jeff, like I honestly, yes, I understand that this was Sting's last match, but I argued this the last episode and I still stand by it. This was a buffer. I guess I was kind of wrong because I thought this was a buffer to get the Bucks to win the tag team titles, but they didn't win the tag titles. And if this is Sting's last match, why the hell are they still tag team champions?
They're not tag team champions anymore because they're vacant. They're vacant now. Tony Khan announced the tag team tournament sometime this month. He hasn't set a date or who's going to be in it and whatnot, which to me is fine, because to me, the way they set this matchup, Sting had to win. To me, it was way too emotional for, traditionally in wrestling,
I mean, it's okay to lose your last match.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like traditionally, right? When you leave, you do business and you keep the show going. Great. But in this case, it's fine that he won. I thought it was fine. Yeah, I just think I don't know what Tony Khan's plan is, but I feel like the plan is for the Young Bucks to be tag team champions again.
I don't think Tony Khan knows what Tony Khan.
And I'm fine with that as long as we get them and FTR again. But at the same time, they really need to rehab their tag division. They really need, because where the fuck are the Acclaimed? And Ray Phoenix and Pentagon or whoever, Top Flight, somebody, I don't know. They really need to put the battery in the back of their tag team division, because that's kind of what AEW's kind of started on. The Bucks were very adamant about tag teams being main events, but they got to get some other tag teams over as well. And they got to throw the 6-man belts in the fucking trash, because who cares?
Yeah, honestly, because I thought the whole idea of inserting the Bucks into Sting's last match was for them to get the titles. So if they weren't going to drop the titles, why make his last match a tag match?
Because Sting is older, right? When you have when you're doing tag team matches, it's a lot easier for on your body. You're not doing all the work. And I think he wanted the Bucks. Sting, he wanted to wrestle the Bucks. So that's why we have this. But I thought this match was again, if you've seen Sting's work in the past, this is not normal Sting stuff.
Using real glass.
Using glass.
Was that another dig at their top star?
Yeah, right. I thought Sting getting thrown through glass was pretty entertaining. I thought him shattering the glass. It kind of like because he hit the glass with his bat, didn't break it first, and it shattered. That was really cool. You know, them brawling with the Bucks throughout the arena was nice. It was fun. It was a fun. I thought it was entertaining. I just wish it didn't go on so late. I wish it had a little bit more. I wish it started a little earlier so Sting can have more time to to talk to the crowd at the end because as we saw, he got cut off. But I did watch what didn't air. AEW put on YouTube. It was cool. But man, these shows are just too long, too long. So I I think it's obvious at this point, because I've brought up some things, but what do you think could have been removed from this show?
FTR and the Blackpool Combat Club, because that was a dynamite match.
Yeah,
I would have removed. That's about it. Yeah, because if you remove that, then Deonna and Toni Storm would have had more time to have an actual championship match.
yeah,
Hell, I would
yeah.
have. I thought this pay per view was in Boston. I would have had Banks like Mercedes Moné debut here, but like I guess that's what big business is for.
Yeah. So, what do you think of the $49.99 price tag? And because AEW is starting to do a lot more monthly shows, are you just going to pick and choose what you're going to pay for, or what?
Here's the thing. $49.95 was when you had 4 pay-per-views a year that were all like really good. I used to say that even when AEW's TV sucked, their pay-per-views are great. They had 4 a year and the pay-per-views had room to breathe and you were able to digest more from them. You know what I mean? Because there was only 4 a year and they all felt big and they all felt memorable. Now that they have monthly pay-per-views that are $50, that's 5 Netflix subscriptions a month. Like, if you have the only way, you remember when WWE did monthly pay-per-views? They did 2 pay-per-views a month at one point, and they couldn't sustain that. People were getting injured; it was bad. But here's the thing: if you're gonna have the only way that works, monthly pay-per-views, is if you have a streaming network like WWE Network or Peacock, where you pay $10 a month for a pay-per-view every month. That's cool, fine. $10 a month but like $50 a month for pay-per-views that aren't really memorable? Not really.
I don't think AEW is going to get on any streaming service anytime soon because WWE, at least WWE's library is a lot more valuable, and they own a lot of libraries from territories, and they own the WCW library, they own the ECW library. The AEW, they have all these Collision and Rampage and Dark and Elevate that and some Dynamites are just like, this is not this library is not that valuable yet. And I don't know how much of the Ring of Honor library they own or they have access to at this point. So don't see them going on streaming services anytime soon.
Like not even like HBO Max?
I don't know. Like would Warner Warner Discovery, they're doing a ton of cuts right now. So I'm not sure they're going to spend millions of dollars for AEW right now.
I'm just saying like $10 a month for a pay-per-view a month is a lot less egregious than asking people to pay $50 a month.
Sure, but the reason why that happened with WWE is because they're WWE.
Yeah, I know.
It's not gonna happen with AEW anytime soon.
But like, do you want to pay $50 a month?
I don't. I'm not. I like the quarterly thing, like you said. At this point I'm gonna pick and choose. I'm not buying Dynasty. Like I just can't do that. It's and every show does not need to be 4 hours. Like it just doesn't. Like WWE used to do that. Every show was like going past 3 hours. Like why? I don't know. It's Wrestling Caucus. I'm Peter A.
I'm Smiley Ariaga.
You can follow us on the socials, and the links are in the description. All right. Later days.